Welcome to Weary Wolf Adventures Allotment Diaries. This edition, this week, we are at home because unfortunately I haven't made it down to the allotment. Some of you may already be aware, but there was an incident this week involving my mum where she had a car crash. She lives down in Kent, some distance away. She's okay, she's out of hospital. I went down with my sisters to go see her this weekend, so we went down early yesterday and didn't get back till late. So I figured, in order to keep the content rolling, in order to keep up with my allotment diaries, because I set a goal of just doing a weekly update, I'd have a little sit down chat with you. This is the last weekend before Christmas. I love Christmas, I love festivities, but I'm also very excited about going into next year and being more self-sufficient. So I've laid out a few books, some treasures I found down some charity shops, some of the seeds I've got set aside, a plan which I've drawn out, which we'll take a look at for what I want to grow in the allotment after Christmas into the new year 2025, and where I want everything to be placed. We'll also have a little chat about what I'm going to continue to grow at home, and then we'll have a chat about the trajectory of this series. So the first thing I really wanted to share with you is I picked up a magazine the other day. I was just browsing, I was on a lunch break, and I picked up a Kitchen Gardener. Now, I'm not one for really buying magazines. It's all about being self-sufficient and growing your own fruit and veg. So it says the UK's best-selling grow your own magazine. When I picked this up, I was really surprised. It had 20 packs of seeds, so I will show you what seeds were in there. So some of the seeds we've got out of the magazine, we got some Savoy cabbage, which can be sown April to May. I'll be ready to harvest in December to February of 2025, going into 2026. Some salad leaves, Mizuna for stir fries and mixed salads. So this is an all year round one, so we'll probably get some of this in the greenhouse early on, and we'll try and do a staggered crop so that we can harvest this throughout the year. So there's approximately 500 seeds, so if we're sensible with this, we could just do, so we've got like a progressing crop. And these are peppery flavoured leaves over a long period. So those seem interesting. That's definitely something we're going to put in the greenhouse. And then we've got some green sprouting Calabres. I've not heard of these, but I'm assuming these are broccoli. Can be sown in April or May for a late summer crop. You can harvest in July to September. And they're a good source of vitamins A and C and iron. So they're definitely going to go in the plot. Something I've mentioned that I wanted to grow, because we do eat a lot of root vegetables in the winter, are some parsnips. We can get these out in March to mid-May, and then we'll be harvesting them from September 2025 through to February. And then we've got some more onions, so we've got some onion seeds here. Those of you following the channel and following the series, the allotment series, will know that we've recently put some onions in, some onion bulbs in to overwinter. So these ones we can sow another harvest around between February and April, and then we'll be getting these out August, September time, and it says they're excellent for winter storage. So that's definitely something we can play around with this year. So we'll have 2 crops of onions. And we've got some leeks, so these are going to be sown, so we can get on and sow these straight after Christmas once we've cleared out an area in the plot. So we get them sown between January and April. And then again, these are going to be another good winter harvesting crop from November to February. And all these seeds came free in that magazine. And then we got some herbs. So we got some chives, which I'm probably going to sow in a pot and have in either the greenhouse, or we'll find somewhere at home for these, because these are easy to grow in a pot. We can even grow these on the windowsill. So we'll definitely play around with some chives. Some dill, which is going to be brilliant, because I am going to grow some cucumbers for gherkins. I have done them before, and I am looking forward to making some dill pickles this year. So we'll get them out, and we'll get them probably growing on the windowsill to start with, but then we'll have a fresh supply of dill to go in with our pickles next year. I've never really had great success growing kale. Mine bolts too much, so that's definitely something we're going to look into growing properly this year. I'm going to read some books up on it, and I'm going to try and make sure that I find a way or work out why mine bolt too quickly, so I don't really get the best crop off of them. But kale's definitely a superfood worth growing. So we'll probably get a few of them in. And then some cabbage. So this will be sown in the summer of next year down the allotment. Probably when we've harvested an early cropping vegetable out of the ground, we can then work the soil over, and then we'll plant in some of this cabbage, and that will be between July and August, and then we can harvest that March to April the following year. So that's some radish. I'm going to grow a small bed of radishes. I'm even going to try my hand at making some horseradish out of some of these radishes, if that's a thing. Again, a lot of the stuff we're discussing is all going to be new, so it's going to be a learning curve, and we'll all go on that journey together on the channel, and hopefully you guys can point me in the right direction. But I do believe you can use these radishes to make a horseradish sauce. I'd love to try and make one of them, make my own. Mizuna, which is again I think we've just been through that. Yep. So you got a different brand. The Mr. Fothergills, and these are king seeds. So we've got 2 lots of them. So actually we've got plenty of seeds to make sure that we have a consistent crop throughout the year. Some spinach beets, sown between March and July, and we can harvest them June, October time. Rocket. So I do like rocket in my salad. So there's something we can start growing in April next year. Some chard. This is a rhubarb chard. Again, another April crop to sow, and we'll grow that in some pots in the garden. I think we'll grow the rocket as well in the garden. And then we come along, and then we've got some flowers. Now, in a previous episode, I said I'd really like to try and grow some flowers for Vicky. I prefer to grow things you can eat. Some poppies, some candy tuft, which is a hardy annual, some larkspur, and some viola, and some wallflowers. And another thing I neglected to say as well, as much as I like to say that I just want to grow stuff to eat, it is very important to attract in some of the pollinators as well, and to make this a wildlife friendly plot, because I'm going completely organic. I don't want to use any pesticides, and I do want to encourage the good bugs, the pollinators, and the ones which do pest control, like the ladybirds and stuff like that, which will eat a lot of the aphids. So having some flowers in the plot actually would be very beneficial all round for nature and for us, and so I can give some to Vicky. So yeah, that's definitely a bonus. A lot of seeds, packs of seeds to get us going, and a few things in there which I wouldn't have thought to have picked up, and some herbs there which I think we can definitely grow on the windowsill at home, as well as plenty to go in the allotment. So that was a really good find down the local newsagents for £6.99, and I've also been reading through here, and it's got some fantastic tips and stuff like that. It's not just advertisements. So there is some advertisements for some fruit trees and stuff like that, but so some brilliant info in this magazine, some guides on what to do, and it's also got some recipes in here at the back. This one here looks particularly tasty. Some sticky Korean potatoes, and then you've got some potato scones or scones. So yeah, that's a great magazine. That's a great find. I've also got some Japanese greens here, which I showed you in the previous video, for £1 in a terracotta pot. They're going to go on the windowsill in the kitchen. Yet to plant out the broad beans, so I'm going to put half of these in pots next time we get ourselves down to the allotment in the greenhouse, and then the rest will go in the spring, and we'll see if the ones which have been brought on in the greenhouse in the frost have a bit more pest resilience, because that is the whole idea of wintering the broad beans, ideally in the ground, but we missed that. Other things I've been doing is I've started to think about organic pest control. I've been chucking in eggshells which we use when cooking. These are going to get baked and crushed down, because these are a really good natural slug and snail repellent, because they're quite sharp once they're broken down. But these, I'm just going to start saving all these up, and then I'm going to make my own shell repellent for the new seedlings coming up in the spring. So that's something I can start doing at the moment. And then I drew out a rough guide to the allotment plot and what I want to grow next year based on the area we've got to work with. I did put a question mark up here because I've yet to work out if there's anything berry bush wise growing at the top. So we've got the greenhouse. I'm going to be growing some tomatoes, some cucumbers, some peppers and some spring onions in the greenhouse once that's all gutted out and cleaned up over the next few months. We recently found out that the old greenhouse, which has got a little bit of damage to it, has a very well established grapevine which produces so many grapes every year. So we're just going to clear that up a little bit, cut back some of the dead branches, some of the debris, and clear out some of the mess at the bottom. But we're not going to mess too much with the greenhouse. We're going to leave the vines up and then hopefully harvest some grapes and maybe, just maybe, have a go at making some wine. That would be incredible if we can do that next year. You've already got the onions and garlics in the small bed at the front, and then we've got some more garlic in pots in the greenhouse at the moment. I'd like to try and get this area cleared out for some broad beans, some broccoli, some beetroots. We could do them in lanes. I did look through a few books, and I did look online, and I tried to find companion plants which grow well together. So I kind of did try and make that so that I kind of put in each bed I had companion plants which get on, and I didn't put anything which would be like conflicted. You need to make sure that when I'm making these as well, that when we get to the following year, we swap over and we're not growing the same crop in the same space. And then we got in the first of the long beds, we're going to have carrots, peas and lettuce, because we do burn through a lot of lettuce. So I'm going to put some outdoor cropping lettuce, which then will cycle out for a different vegetable, because obviously that's more of a summertime, spring into summer. Then we've got the cauliflower. I want to grow some courgettes and some squash in this bed. I don't want to grow pumpkins for carving. I want to grow some squash varieties which are the best for eating, because I'd rather we grew a year or so ago, we grew some UFO squash, which is these tiny little squash about this size, and they look like little yellow and white flying saucers, and they were incredible. You could just slice them down and then you could just bake them or fry them or add them into soups and stuff. So they're brilliant. So I'll probably go back to that variety, but I will have a look around when we start picking up some more seeds ready for the new season. And then obviously potatoes. I love growing my own potatoes. I'm going to grow a few bags of potatoes at home in the garden, and then we're going to put majority of our potatoes into, especially the early croppers, into the end bay, and then we'll put some cabbage, and then I will look to put some parsnips and maybe some turnips in, but at the moment that's the rough layout. This is all subject to change, and hopefully some advice from you guys. And then if you've looked at the previous videos for the plot, you'll know that we've got a big old straggly mess of berry bushes right on the corner of the plot, which need cutting back in the next few weeks, which is going to be on a video. You'll see that. We're going to go to town on that. I've been informed that that has some really prolific blackcurrant, red currant, gooseberry and a few raspberries in their bush line. So I want to kind of cut them back, give them a new spring of life, probably get some manure on top of them, and we'll see what crop we can get from there. And if we can, and we get a decent supply, and I've got a local area where I can get blackberries, we will try and make some jams, I think, next year, because that's all part of the road to self-sufficiency. That's a rough scribbled out idea for the allotment plot, which I've done that on a lunch break. So that's kind of, there's no real measurements to this. Kind of what I've done is I've looked at the things I want to grow, the things we eat on the regular, and also the things which are more expensive to buy when we're out shopping. So that is, a lot of that is berries. Strawberries aren't on there because I do have a strawberry bed in the back garden, which we'll look at next season. They come up every year. We get a generous amount of strawberries off of them. I do have blueberry bushes in the garden as well, and I've recently introduced a couple of different varieties of raspberry bush. I do have a spare bed in the garden. I haven't decided what I want to grow in there yet, but I'm discussing with Vicky, and I do think that I want to make the garden low maintenance. So berry bushes, cut and come again, herb bushes and stuff like that. Then the allotment is going to have a lot of the crop vegetables, root vegetables, etc. And utilising the greenhouse because I don't have a greenhouse here. Then there is the third plan, because also being a prepper, have applied for an official allotment down near where we live, which is on an allotment site. Now there's a long waiting list, but the reason why I do that is because I'm very happy at this lady's garden, doing her gardening for an hour and then moving on to do the allotment. But she's very elderly, and you have to be realistic. And in a situation, God forbid she passes away, I'm not going to get access to that allotment again. So this isn't a forever allotment. This is a finite amount of time. So invest my time and energy into it. But that's all I want to invest into it. I don't want to invest money. The idea is, I'm rambling a bit, but so the idea is if I get an allotment, an official allotment down the lines, that will be where I will buy a shed, man cave, a shed, a greenhouse, and I'll buy some fruit trees, and I'll buy some berry bushes, and I'll put some money into the project. With this one, where I don't know what the time frame is for how long we're going to have it, this is going to be, in my eyes, a wonderful adventure into being self-sufficient, where we can invest our time and learn the process along the way, work out what we can grow well, work out what doesn't grow so well, and share on the channel all the different ups and downs of having an allotment and learning as we go along. And then when we go to the it might be the case that I have 2 allotments at one point, but when we get to that point, obviously we'll address where we're at time-wise and scale-wise. But for now, I just want to put in effort to this allotment, get it up to standard, get it working from the derelict site it was when we looked at it in the first video, and see what we can get out of it in this next growing season. And then we'll go from there. Because there is no point trying to plan too far ahead with this. This is what I'm trying to get at in a long-winded kind of way. So that's the overall plan. We've got the windowsill in the kitchen, which I love to grow herbs and stuff like that. I've got chilies, which will be being grown inside on the windowsills. We did really well with a crop of them last year. I'm hoping to do the same this year. I want to pickle some jalapenos. Then we got the outside plot in the garden, which is going to be berry bushes, herbs, and then with greenhouse and the allotment is going to have all of our root vegetables and all of our growing crops. I think it's going to be an exciting year. A lot of things I want to try this year. I've got a lot of things which I don't think will be feasible this year, but I've got a future plan going forwards for other ideas. The series is going really well. I'm enjoying doing it. I'm enjoying sharing it with you. Vicky gets stuck in. She just cracks on with it. And then finally, before we end this video out, I thought I'd share with you some of the books I've found in charity shops and I picked up along the way, which I find incredibly useful. The first one's the Allotment Gardener's Handbook, which you can see is well used. And that one basically breaks down individual plants, vegetables, crops, and then it tells you the varieties, the planting, and then in season, and then picking and storing, and it gives you an overall guide to pests and diseases. So this has got quite a comprehensive list of the different vegetables and fruits you can grow in the UK. It's a very good reference guide. I've had that a few years now. It has, like I say, it has seen better days, but it's definitely a really easy one to go to. This is a beautiful book my sister picked up for me when we were in Wales on holiday. It's actually a castle, and it was in their gift section, and I just think it's a beautiful book. So it has illustrations of different herbs and wildflowers, so anything which grows in the hedgerow. So it's a hedgerow handbook, recipe, remedies and rituals, and it's got some of, like I said, some of the most beautiful illustrations in it for identification. So there's damson, and then it gives you a guide to the actual plant and identification, its culinary uses, medical uses, some facts, and then it gives you some recipes. So wild damson chutney. It's definitely something I want to go out foraging and increase my skills of wild foraging this year. Just absolutely beautiful book, and a really good reference guide for some of the uses for hedgerow found plants. Got a self-sufficiency handbook, so grow your own organic food, and then it's got guides for care for chicken, goats, pigs, solar, wind energy. One's a bit more structured towards action as well, like building projects. So power, off-grid power, there's meals there, and then it's got solar powers, wind power. So yeah, this is a really nice illustrated guide. And then it goes to, it's got an A to Z of vegetables and crops, growing under shelter, beekeeping, keeping pigs, keeping cows. So this is just more of a general self-sufficiency, grow your own and have your own small holding. It's a lovely book, this one. It's a nice find. So yeah, I thought I'd share that one with you. Speed up a little bit. Gardening hints and tips. And this is more the actual art of gardening. So trimming, pruning, watering, tools and equipment needed. So this is more of a basic how-to guide for gardening. Another book on the hedgerow apocarthy. Say that one when you've had a rum. So this one's again recipes, remedies and rituals. I'm loving collecting these books. This is something I've really started developing an interest in over the last few years. So I'll take you guys out with me next season, and we'll start doing a bit of foraging and see what we can make. Look at that hot crab apple and chili jelly. Plenty of crab apple trees around where we are. Chamomile hand scrub. Oh, that'd be something nice to make, Vicky. With its gentle exfoliating action and a strong anti-inflammatory property of chamomile, this scrub will soothe hard-working hands, leaving them soft. So yeah, it's just things like this. I'm fascinated by it. I'd love to be more involved and do more things like this. So, you know, every time I open this book, I find something else I want to do and learn. And then that in turn leads to me wanting to create a video. So I now have, I think it's a 200 strong ideas page for different videos. And like I say, every time I open up this, I'm like, oh, let's make something, let's do something. So there's loads of exciting content I'm going to be sharing on the channel when it comes to the allotment and self-sufficiency side of things, which I cannot wait to share with you. I've really gone deep into this. So I've got another one along the similar vein, making teas, using different herbs and spices. And then finally, I just want to share with you probably my favourite ever find from a charity shop. And I paid £1 each for these. You get volumes 1 and 2. And it's a grow your own, but someone's spent the time and they have collected these from a grow your own magazine. So this is the first ever issue. And this issue all about onions. And then as you go through, you got, so this one's onion specific. Have to be careful because they're kind of bound in by these little slip things, so you can take each individual book off. And then it goes, so I mean, I think I've got all of the parts to this. You've got, literally can reference any type of vegetable. So you've got potatoes. Number 3 was peas, and it's got its own, it's got some really cool old school advertisers. Order your binders now. Look inside for details on a special money saving offer. Let's have a look. For this binder with the contents, this offer closes in April 1977. So there you go, that dates the guides. So these guides are over 40 years old now, well over 40 years old, but it's all still relevant. I mean, it's still, I just think they're beautiful. I was just so chuffed to find this. I think it's fantastic. Look, every single issue has a specialist look at an individual vegetable or fruit plant or crop. And I've got issues there, and then the second binder. So I think, let's have a look. It goes up to issues 51, 52. And then inside one of them, I found that someone had made and printed out a comprehensive guide of companion planting, which I'm going to keep hold of, which is really handy. And they've wrote a little list. So someone's taken the time to sit down, plan their garden or allotment and work out what they want to grow. And who knows, that might have been written up. I mean, this was done in 2011. It's amazing. Someone clearly loved these books and had good use of them, and then these magazines, and then they found their way into a charity shop, and now they're one of my most treasured possessions. I love them. I've sat down and I work my way through them, and then if there's a specific vegetable I want to grow, it's one of my go-to references. Hope you enjoyed hearing about the future plans for growing for this year. I'm sorry I didn't get down to the allotment this weekend. It's not going anywhere though, so we'll be back next week, and it will hopefully be down there with Vicky with some snacks from the Christmas edition of Snackverse. We'll get some work done. We'll get some planning done. I want to get some of those beds actually cleared out next week. That'll be the 29th of December. So that just leaves me to say thank you so much for everyone who's been watching the allotment series so far. Thanks for following me on my journey. I'm excited for next year. The 29th will be the last one before the new year, and as far as I'm concerned, 2025 is all going to be about growing your own self-sufficiency and learning some wild edibles, recipes, being creative, and just exploring being more self-sufficient. I am so excited and I cannot wait to share it with you. I didn't know this was the avenue this channel was going to go down alongside the MREs, but it feels right. And I love being down the allotment. I love being outside, and I enjoy sharing it with you. So I will see you on the other side of Christmas. Have a wonderful Christmas. Look after yourselves. Look after each other. Have a lovely Christmas. And I'll hopefully see you in a future video. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.